I've read plenty of horrifying manga in my time. Manga that was bloody, bone-chilling, and just horrifying. But rarely do I come across a manga that gives me the chills, that makes me think that I'm gonna have nightmares that very night. And after completing Junji Ito's Uzumaki, I feel like that's the type of manga that I've read. A manga that gives you the feeling of no escape. No escape from a death that is portrayed in a way that it looks like an endless torture. Our story takes place in a small town that is plagued by a curse, in which people are being killed by an unknown spiral. Now, it's clear from the outset that the spiral is not controlled by a single person or a group of people. It's simply a force of nature, maybe even something that's being controlled by a god or a devil. But amongst all the ambiguity, one thing is certain. It's truly horrifying, it's grotesque, and it's very compelling, even though at some moments you'll want to turn away for a brief moment just to catch your breath. There are some panels in this manga that truly make you sick to your stomach. And rarely if ever do I feel like that when I'm reading a manga. And that's a good thing, because you should look for different experiences in manga. You should look for manga that push your boundaries and make you feel ways that you've never felt before. Now, as I said, this focuses on a single town that is infected with these spirals. It follows a girl named Kiri, in which she notices various people being affected by the spirals. And while the plot is linear in terms of its progression, it sort of follows the same basic pattern of following someone who is tragically affected by the spiral and how it affects their life and ultimately tortures them before their untimely demise. But I guess that's all part of the symbolism, is it not? A spiral is a repeating process. And so, the stories seem to somewhat repeat themselves. Now, in one of the stories, there's a boy known as Jumping Jack. That's because he tends to scare people by jumping out in front of them. Now, because he has a crush on the main protagonist, he ends up jumping in front of a car and gets crushed by it. Now, this image in and of itself is pretty brutal, but it's just the beginning of his torment. Because after being resurrected, he takes on the role of a jack-in-the-box, because he uses the car's suspension to jump around at Kiri, which is truly horrifying and grotesque and sick. At one point in the manga, we have babies that want nothing more than to be put back into the womb. And to facilitate their desires, a doctor ends up cutting up the mother and cramming the children back inside. I mean, that one had me shook for a good minute. We also have instances of mothers feeding off of people like mosquitoes and people turning into snails. So as you can see from my description, this is a macabre-esque tale, one in which portrays death as a spectacle. And what's truly horrifying about the tale itself is that the people of the town seem to be living their normal lives. It doesn't seem like anyone's done anything wrong, and yet they're being punished for unknown reasons, a punishment that they can never escape. And because Junji Ito is so creative in terms of portraying this pain and suffering, it becomes palpable. You become a little bit paranoid, and you might even look over your shoulder a couple instances while reading this manga. Now, while I will admit the main characters are a bit forgettable, the story itself leaves a deep impression in your soul. It's something that you'll be replaying in your mind time and time again, sort of like a spiral. And after reading this brief 19-chapter manga, if you're still looking for more Uzumaki enjoyment, there's actually a movie that was released in early 2000, and it just so happens that it's available on YouTube. In fact, at the time of writing this review, it's got less than 1,000 views. Now, I will admit it is a bit schlocky, but the schlock is actually pretty funny, and I actually had a fun time with it. It's the kind of schlock that is enjoyable in and of itself. You'll laugh a little bit, you'll be a little bit scared, and not as scared as the manga, but it does have its merits. So if you guys are looking for a scary, exciting manga, guys, I would definitely check out Junji Ito's Uzumaki.